Hey guys, welcome back. BDC Kara here. We're back with our weekly recap of all things Injustice. This is for the week of February 17th, 2022. The current character challenge is Bounty Hunter Lobo. That is a 1 week repeat, and the required characters are Flash, Green Arrow, and Green Lantern, who you can get at bronze for all of them. So great for newer players as long as you have, the minimum stats to actually beat the fights itself. Right, you almost certainly either have or are able to really cheaply buy the characters needed. Right. And it also comes with fewer fights than usual, which is also good news for newer players. It comes with 9 each and then 12 instead of the normal 12 and then 15. Right. So his passive is Hooked, which is when Lobo performs Special 2, the enemy cannot tag out until the fire damage over time runs its course, and every successful Special 2 makes the next Special 2 damage and damage over time length go up by 20%. He's got 1,250 attack and 950 health. He was last available on the 22nd of April, 2021.
Mm-hmm. And an interesting thing we learned very recently is what the successful Special 2 means. Because even if you do a Special 2 against Superman's aura that protects him, and it takes off his aura and doesn't do any damage, that still counts as a successful Special 2.
Which is good.
Yeah. So he's got medium stats. They're low compared to more recently released challenge golds. But at one point, he had the highest attack of any character in the game. And when he was first released, and I remember thinking this, so to me, this is why I'm convinced that he came out before Tantu Totem. I remember thinking, damn, his passive's pretty useless because it takes too long to build up Special 2.
Yeah, you wouldn't be doing a lot of those.
Yeah. And so to stack it, it would take forever, and that means you're having a really bad fight. Nowadays that Tantu Totem exists, his biggest problem is that his Special 2 isn't ranged enough, meaning that the range for where it can do damage is less than how far Master's Death Cart will shove the opponent, and what you will really want to do is be able to do an instant Special 2 wing tag, which is what you want to do for most characters, because if they have a bar of power and they can do a special on you, then you can't wait it out.
Yeah.
And if you give up the beginning of his Special 2, you're giving up a good chunk, probably more than a third of the attack. There's 4 hits, but the first and third hits do the most damage.
Yeah.
So here's the thing in general, and we've talked about this. I think in the game that has Tantu Totem, the ideal team has a Special 2 specialist. The ideal Special 2 specialist has Tantu Totem Master's Death Card. But because Master's Death Card shoves so far, you want somebody who's got a ranged attack, or you want somebody whose first hit that would whiff doesn't make up a big chunk of the damage. And we've done a team with Bounty Hunter Lobo recently in an attempt to make him relevant. There's a link to the entire Lobo playlist in the description. And I think the key for this new team being successful was to come up with a solution to get full value for a Special 2, which is to wait until Master's Death Card finish shoving and you close the gap, and take care of an opponent that has bars of power, which is Red Lantern Hal Jordan. So the reason why Red Lantern Hal Jordan works so well in that team, and we didn't talk about it in the fight, but it's probably worth talking about now, even if the opponent has LexCorp gear, the set, like 2 of them, to reverse power drain, you shatter all the gears before the second Special 1 completes. Meaning that, so the first Special 1, even if it doesn't drain and it gets reverse drained by LexCorp, you drain it with the second one because you've shattered all the gear, and it's the finishing part of Special 1 that drains the power.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we want him to be great. And our avatar is literally Lobo. And for the longest time, he was only good. I think that last team was pretty successful. It's not the best team, but it's pretty successful. So what's interesting, too, with him is that despite having damage over time, he's probably the only one that has an effect with the special that doesn't do reduced damage. It does full damage. So comparing him with Shazam Prime, who has the same damage stat, they both do the same amount of Special 2 damage.
Yeah.
But there's a secondary effect on Lobo.
Yeah, where most other people get some fraction of their damage.
Right. So, for example, right, Regime Superman, it's unblockable, so he only does half damage. Same with the Harley Quinns with the bomb.
And being unblockable and half damage almost feels like you're not actually getting much extra value out of it, other than the ability to crit.
Right. Arkham Knight Catwoman does 3/4 damage, and she's actually considered pretty good for her special too.
Yeah.
And I think Lobo might have been the first character where the passive was meant to enhance the damage over time. So a lot of characters before would have damage over time, but his passive actually did something to make it even better. You know, like the way Arkham Origins Joker will you can't take out, or no, it's a quantum quick engine. Sorry, I think of Q on it. So quick engine doesn't let you tag out until the damage over time is finished. Arkham Knight Catwoman has damage over time that can't rinse. Like that. Those were attempts to make damage over time more interesting.
Yeah.
And he was sort of the first.
Yeah. So in terms of patterns, we are 91 weeks into our sort of repeating cycle with no interruptions of a 43-week challenge cycle. So we're 5 weeks into sort of our third cycle through.
So 43 plus 43 and now plus 5.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, okay.
To make 91.
Yeah.
So we expect to see Arkham Killer Croc next week. And just a reminder, there are 23 challenge characters missing out of that, 43 that we do get.
Right.
This week's multiplayer reward is the totem, which becomes Tantu Totem, and its effects are a 30% crit chance on specials. You get 35% of maximum power on tag-in, restore 100% power for a special if the enemy was KO'd with it, and the evolved ability, which is get 100% power back for a special if the enemy took no damage. And I mean, I'm sure that everybody knows what these abilities are, because it's really, if you don't have this is the best, single most important thing to put in your collection, period. So this is the 59th week in a row of a complete cycle of the rewards, 28 weeks of the sort of repeat cycle. Next week we should see Scarecrow's Ventilator Mask.
The full cycle is 31, and this is the repeat of it, which has gotten 28. So another 3 weeks we'll have finished 2 cycles.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think what you said is absolutely true. It's pretty non-controversial that this is the single most important piece of gear in the entire game.
I think it's the single most important thing to have on your account in the game, I would argue.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
See, because usually it's conditional, right? What's best depends on lots.
What normally it's hard to compare, but this is the best no matter what.
Yeah, because this shifted the game completely from basic damage to specials, and it changed how you manage your specials. So if you look at the abilities, right? I mean, you said everybody knows, but I think for some people who are still, I'm seeing some people who are actually still new to the game or new coming back. So it's worth probably talking at least a little bit about the single best gear.
Yeah.
Crit chance on all specials is great. Usually you only get crit chance on special 1 or special 2. You get them both here. But the next 3 abilities are what makes it so important, right? So when maxed out, you get 1 full bar of power on tag-in, which is pretty good. Fast power generation is always good. Getting full power back if you knock out the opponent, also really good. And getting full power back if the enemy takes no damage makes it possible to handle Astro Harness, people who dodge specials, even if you have to take a little bit of damage to do it. To get all your power back in return for just taking a little bit of damage.
It makes it's so much more versatile. It takes it from something that you have to use situationally to knock people out to something that you can basically just burn specials indiscriminately. Because, other than people blocking you, there's really nothing stopping your roll.
Yeah. And in terms of managing your specials, before this, I think there was a bigger focus on getting the most amount of splash damage. Because if you were doing a special, say a special 2, even if it took a while to get to them, it made sense to give up a bit of damage to the opponent in front of you in order to do more splash damage because it meant more damage overall.
Yeah, you would essentially be trying to load onto a special so that by knocking one person out, you were getting as close as possible to, just bringing new people in to just get knocked out right away.
Or even if you don't knock them out, right? So let's say 15% splash damage with special 2 with the 4th World Godly Mace is as good as a 30% damage boost, but you're spreading it onto 2 opponents. And somebody like Ares, where you do a huge amount of special 2 damage, let's say you could have boosted his special 2 by a little bit more to knock out the person in front of you. That's not nearly as important, just taking away the net health pool from the team.
Yeah.
That's less of an effect on special 1 with League of Assassin's Knives, but it's still the same thing, right? Because League of Assassin's Knives, the 50% splash damage, that's like 100% damage boost. But it's only a small number of characters that would have knocked him out anyway, so that's less of the consideration.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is, it's completely changed. When it came out, it completely changed the game for all the characters that had a passive that were triggered by specials.
Yeah, and so, I mean, just to actually say it outright, because I think we implied it, the change was it changed it from splash damage to just focusing on always knocking out the person in front of you at any cost.
Yeah.
Even if that meant going a little overkill.
But, so, Bounty Hunter Lobo is a great example. He was, without Tantu Totem, he'd be pretty useless.
Mm-hmm.
Or his passive would be useless, that is.
Yeah.
And I think what it does is it makes New 52 Wonder Woman a top-tier character. So her passive lets the power of Tantu Totem be magnified and leveraged onto an entire Justice League team. Yeah. Where when you've seen her loadout, you can have both of your teammates tag in with 3 bars of power.
Yeah, it essentially, as long as you're getting people knocked out, it lets you generate free power from nothing. You're not even spending your own power, you're just generating power.
And the problem is it makes it hard to use another team. Because once you've had the benefit of all that sweet, sweet power, playing without it is not nearly as fun. And that's part of the reason why we made an effort to make a team with Bounty Hunter Lobo that actually did not have New 52 Wonder Woman.
Yeah, so right now, if you don't have Tantu Totem, get it. Like, get on it.
Yeah, there's no higher priority than this season.
Yeah, even if you're pretty early in the game, this is a season where you probably want to do your best to grind, even if it's a little, potentially a little painful.
Yeah.
Now moving on to the store, we have Arkham Killer Croc Early Access Bundle for $24.99. It comes with 100,000 credits. It doesn't unlock in the store, and it's the challenge next week, so you're going to be fine. Right. And the Suicide Squad challenges tend to have pretty lax requirements to complete. Don't think?
It's not Suicide Squad.
Or sorry, no, Arkham Killer Croc, no.
You're thinking of the gears.
I'm thinking of the gear. Yeah. Never mind, that's my bad.
Arkham guy,
Yeah. We also have the character bundle Darkseid War for $24.99 Canadian. It was $24.99 the last 2 times we saw it in 2021, and it went as low as $18.99 in 2020.
Yeah, that was
a
deal.
It's up a little bit, but it's held stable for a year now, year and a bit. And that comes with Apocalypse, Darkseid, and Rebirth Jessica Cruz. We also have the Alien Invasion pack around for its second week. It was still here last week. Survivor pack has been around for 6 weeks. Character bundle Batman Universe has been around for 11 weeks. Most Wanted pack has been around for 18 weeks. And again, we're not mentioning all of these because we've already talked about them. And we still have the celebration packs being totally exploded where all of them are available.
It's a real celebration.
It's a party, but it's only if you're Joker, Aquaman, or Shazam.
So yeah, 4 weeks at least for each of them, and Aquaman's been around for 6 weeks in a row now.
Yeah. So that's a little interesting.
Party.
Yeah. In Our Survivor, we have the 4th World Gear set until the 23rd of February 2022. Phantom Zone is back for 2 weeks, and Fight 62 is still broken.
Yeah. All right, so last weekend's breakthrough was, as expected, Hawkgirl, Green Lantern, or Lobo for the weekend golds. So this coming weekend is probably going to be Lex Luthor, Batman, and Doomsday.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we're going to try out to continue this week is to say we're not going to go into a lot of detail about the glitches because nothing has changed. We've tested and confirmed that the challenge reset glitch works on this week's challenge with Bounty Hunter Lobo. Everything else is the same. You can reach it by clicking the playlist in the description for all the current glitches.
Yeah. And you can also hear our discussion about it on the first video of this month for the recaps. I think it was February 3rd.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so there we go. That's all we'll go through for this week. So to finish up, we'd like to give a huge thank you to all the lovely folks who support us on Patreon. That's Victor Gomez, Consul Peasant, and Edwoon at the top tier Last Word. Sinemac and Mohammed Albshaiti at the Your Message Here tier. Shawn, Farrell, Daniel Simonson, Aaron Maule, Michael DeVries, Brandon C., Irvin, Ruiz, and Eddydoo on the credited level. And Chris Wolff, Scarlet, Dani, Awesomegamer 241, Pavu RS, Gavin, Mallott, and Isfar E., the gratitude level. Thanks so much for your support, and we'll see you next time.
Komoda.